It's the grandson of Right Thought. Welcome back to the School of Marvelous Light. So we were talking about not fighting the battle, but letting Abba fight the battle for you. And that may seem strange, but remember, until we're made perfect, we have lingering remnants of the flesh mind that try to flare up at times. So it's difficult for us to understand all the truth all the time, because that flesh mind want to get in there and muck things up, you see? Soil our garments and put spots on our garments. We don't want our garments to have a spot. We want to be spotless, you see? And that garment is your conscience. Is that garment bloody, or is it white as snow? Your conscience. Is it clear? Clear means clean, spotless, blameless. Same thing, clear, see? Because your fleshly mind is the accuser of you. That's what's accusing you, is your own mind is. People are just giving suggestions. Outside stimulation just gives a suggestion. You feel what I'm saying? I always use boxing because it's easy to make an analogy of that to compare to what we're saying. You see two fighters, one of them a champion and you have a challenger. But in the press conference, you see that challenger talking like that champion ain't no champion. You see the trash talk that leads up to the fight. And that's all part of it. The trash talk, the face off. Ooh, what's gonna happen? And when you get two elite people in the ring together, you can feel it in your body when you're watching that match. I remember when I was a kid and I was watching Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield. Now, if you was like me, you was going for Mike Tyson. And I remember when they got in the ring and they were giving the introductions, man, my heart was thumping. I was nervous. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? Every time they throw a punch, I'm like, oh, Lord. You see? That's how the angels and everybody are watching your life. Did you know that? They are watching it. Angels long to look into these things. Search the scriptures and see if you see that. Angels long to look into these things. What are they doing? How are they doing? Did they make it? Oh, they got knocked down. Uh-oh. Are they going to get back up? That's right. This fight requires patience and endurance, long suffering, because those things make you a loving person. See, you didn't know that. That's what he said. You were destroyed for lack of knowing. You need patience to call yourself loving. And patience has to be built. Baby don't come here patient. He come here doing this. Ah! He don't be sitting there like, I guess my mom is going to pull the breast out and give me something to eat, so I'll just sit here and wait. No, he don't wait. He wake mama up at 3 o'clock in the morning when she's sleeping, just getting good into REM sleep. Here he comes. Ah! So we have to learn patience. And we learn that after we go from to nibbling on some soft puree, then some little pieces of fruit, and then some little oatmeals and grains and stuff like that, cereals, then meat. And throughout that whole process, our mothers taught us, hold on, it's not ready yet. Just be patient, baby. I got you. I got to make the sandwich first. You asked me for it. I got to make it first. You hear Abba talking to you? I heard you ask me for it. I'll get it for you. I got to make it first. The how, listen to me. The how and the when is Abba's work. That should give you a reassurance when you're feeling yourself becoming impatient about something. That should reassure you. The when it happens is Abba's perfect knowledge. Trust it. Trust him. Brother was asking me about fasting, and I told you guys I have been fasting recently. Well, that wasn't, any purposeful thing I did. I didn't plan it out or say I'm going to fast today, or these days I've been fasting. I didn't plan it out. It was just, I was obedient. I was obedient to the feelings. You see? The circumstance was kind of scarce. I didn't have much anyway. So it was easy to fast. But I accepted the fasting instead of the worrying about not having it. You see what I'm saying? I looked at it as I was doing this so that I can fast for a moment and give myself a time to rest. Because a lot of people don't realize their bodies need internal rest as well as external rest. You see? Or to damage you if you don't rest. Everything that doesn't rest gets damaged. Well, what happens to your digestive system? All your glands and endocrine system and all kind of systems in your body when you never let them rest. You're constantly shoveling things into your body, shoveling things. That system is always working and working and working. It never has a time to take a break. So when your body lets you know, then you'll notice it. And you'll say, no wonder Abba got me scarce right now. I need to focus on the spiritual side. Now, how's my spiritual side doing? Let me focus on that instead of focusing on what I don't got in the flesh, because Abba going to provide that when I need it. Because I trust him. I trust his decisions. Just like a good wife would do. She blindly follows her husband. People ridicule her for it. They tell her she's a fool for it when he makes decisions that don't make sense. They have to do that to test if she loves her husband or not. See? When she starts listening to the naysayers and starts to bring that to her husband, how do you think her husband's going to feel? Emasculated, as if he's not the head of his house. You see? And that's why you feel the way that you feel when you go through something. Because you know better than to feel bad. You know better than to get down in the dumps, to get bitter and angry. You know better than that. See, your thoughts, but your feelings. Your feelings are like, I know, but I just don't care right now. So I gotta bite back. I gotta say something nasty this time. Because my feelings. See, not submitting themselves to the husband. And it happens sometimes. And you let her go ahead and throw a tantrum sometimes, and it's okay because you've learned to be patient with yourself. Go ahead on and cry, baby. I understand. You need some space. Let me leave you alone for a minute. Leave your feelings alone for a minute and just let it go. Because the scripture says, tears may suffice for the night, but what's going to come in the morning? Why would Abba say, if you suffer with me, you'll reign with me, if you're not going to suffer? And what does suffering cause? Tears. So since he knows you're going to cry a bunch of them, he told you, I have collected each one of them. If he's collected each one, then he's seen each one. So for you to doubt that he loves you is nonsense. It's asinine. You're making him to be some powerless creator. He's not powerless at all. He's the Almighty one. Almighty. Almighty means you're mighty over all things. You triumph over everything. That's why your love triumphed over all my shortcomings and sins. That's why. And only those who overcame by the blood. Y'all heard me say on the video, little flock, paint the doors of your house with the blood. Get it on there. Get it on there, because I'm calling that angel down on this earth. I'm not playing. Y'all heard me say it. I'm done with wickedness. I don't know about you. I've had enough of it. When there are those who refuse to change and become reprobate, you have to get rid of them. There's no other alternative. Love has to quench that out of there. Just like your body, if you went on a 40-day fast at the grandson of right thought, then you'd know that anything unclean in your body had to die. The unclean things in your body feed on unclean things. So that's why you get candida in your stomach when you eat a lot of sugary things, because candida eats sugar. So if you don't want the candida, look what they tell you in this world. Keep eating everything that you've been eating. Just take these antacid pills before you eat that chili dog. No. Wait a second. Listen to what I'm saying, little flock. You get irritable bowel syndrome when you eat this chili dog. But you want it so bad that you take a pill that will suppress the symptoms that you feel when you eat that dog. So it's still having the same effect, you just dull the senses. Humans have been doing that since the beginning. Dulling their senses to discomfort. The discomfort is letting you know that what you're doing isn't right. So why are you dulling it just so you can keep doing what's wrong? Because you're not letting Abba lead your life. I believe that everything happens in my life is perfect and right on time and right on schedule. That's just what I believe. Even when you say it's late, I don't believe you. And that's how your mind is supposed to be. Children, let every man be a liar is in there for a reason, like I've said. Now you see the reason why, because they lie. Don't get me to rapping up in here again. But now you know why. Because they're fleshly minded. They don't know God. Hey man, I thought you said that thing had to be taken care of last week. Abba decided not to make it do it last week. Well, doesn't that mean this bad thing's going to happen to you? It hasn't happened. So why are you doing that to me? I thought you were my friend. Oh, I didn't know I was doing it. Yeah, because you don't have knowledge. Speak life over your neighbor because that proves that you love them. Everybody is hindering their neighbor with nonsense, saying things like, yeah, that's just the way it is, brother. Just got to accept that and deal with it. No, you don't. No, you don't. God doesn't, so why should you if you're one with him? Because you don't believe you're one with him. You pray to a God outside of yourself. It doesn't come with outward appearance. So if you're looking outside for God, you won't find him. Christ is in you unless you be a reprobate and fail to meet the test, the scripture says. God says Christ is in you. You say Christ is outside of you. Which one should I believe? See? Let men be liars. No, what I just said means that I could have grown up in this world and gone to churches and listened to people so-called preaching to me, telling me about a God and a Christ that's outside of me somewhere up there in the sky. Because that's what they say. Y'all can't tell me that that ain't what they say. That is what they say. That is what they say. But Christ told you when they start saying that to you, that they're false. That's what he told you. He said, them dudes that's saying that to you is false. When they tell you to look over here, look up there, look over there. It's within you. I died, the man that's now living is Christ. How can he say that if the man that he was waiting for was outside of him? When he had that vision on the road, weren't there some men with him? Listen at this little flock. When Saul was stopped on the road to Damascus and had that vision and heard Yahusha talk to him, remember? Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? Him and Yahusha having a conversation, but nobody saw him except Paul. The other men didn't even see him. See that there? You see that there? So if he came on an outward appearance, shouldn't those other men have seen Yahusha talking to Saul? How come they didn't? And how come Saul did? Because it happened within him. That's why. The kingdom of heaven cometh within you. That's what he said. When your heart has been broken, and I'm telling you, Saul was going to Damascus with a broken heart. And why? Because he had seen Stephen being stoned. And he no longer had a clear garment. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? Look what Abaddon did. He had a bloody garment, and he couldn't get rid of the blood guiltiness. Just like David, when he broke his heart and said, I am full of blood guiltiness for what I've done. Take it away. Take the stains off and renew me. Okay, so your name is no longer Saul. It's Paul. Stop persecuting me. Brotherly love. Stop fighting against brotherly love, Paul. That's not brotherly love to stone Stephen for what he said. Because you are a Jew of the Jews. So was what Stephen said, was it true or was it a lie? It was true what he said. These y'all just didn't like it. It pricked your heart, the scripture says. It proved that you was being wicked. So that's why y'all stoned him. Take that away from me, Father. Take that thought away from me. It's killing me. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I'll give you an example of this. Blood guilty conscience that just kills you every day. Unless you fall and break your heart to the Father and confess your weakness before him. Being his creature. Give you an example. During the Iraq War, there was a story. A soldier was telling a story. I was watching a documentary. And he was telling a story about him and his men. They were going from house to house looking for somebody, some terrorist. But they're in the streets going from house to house, kicking in the doors, going to these people's houses. Well, when they were doing this, they had grabbed a woman, and the woman confessed and said where that man was. He told the soldiers. So these soldiers took off to that house. And when they got to the house, the doors were all locked up and bolted up. So they couldn't get in. So the lead guy told his brothers to step back, and he took his shotgun and he was going to blow the hinges off the door to break and then kick the door in. He's going to shoot the hinges with the shotgun. Well, when he got to the door to shoot the hinges, he said a voice spoke to him very clearly and said, "Don't shoot that bottom hinge." I mean, that middle hinge, not the bottom, the middle hinge. He shot the bottom hinge off, boom. And when he went to shoot the middle hinge, he said he heard a voice expressly told him, "Do not shoot that hinge." And he shot it anyway. And when he kicked the door down, there was a little boy falling with his head hanging open, his brain spilling out on the ground. Looking at that man with his eyes all crooked. Face blew away. So how do you think that man feels? He says, "I see that kid every day when I go to sleep." You want that on your conscience, that blood guilt? That's why you don't kill. I don't give a damn you had orders from a man. Man is not God. Man said, yeah, it's all right to kill. If I tell you to, if I give you orders